Hello everyone, welcome back to Naomi's Bookshelf. I am going to be doing my part 3 of my childhood favorites series that I've been doing for middle grade March. Now in this series we're talking about books that I read as a child and loved as a child, so I'm sharing them with you now as an adult. They are classics in this video. I did a historical fiction video and a mysteries video, as those were my two main genres when I was a child. So now we're going to talk about the classics that I loved and have held up high in my estimation, and I recommend them to you as adults now too. So we're going to talk about the first one, and this is a heavy book, but it is The Chronicles of Narnia. So this is all 7 books by C.S. Lewis. I loved this series. My parents had the radio dramas of it when we were kids, so we'd listen to them for hours on drives, on like car rides. We drove a lot. And this one, I love learning about Narnia as a place. I love the people. Edmund is by far my favorite character in this book, or in the first one at least. I love book 4 the best, which is The Horse and His Boy, or I think it's book 5 actually in terms of publication order. I even got my tattoo of that, which is right here. I loved Chronicles of Narnia. This is one of my favorite series of all time, and I highly recommend it even to adults. The next one is one that I don't physically remember reading as a child, but I know that I did, and I loved it when I reread it as an adult, so I'm gonna count it. And that's Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I loved the different levels of creativity and world building in this, the different characters. It's just such a fun book, and this one contains the Through the Looking Glass as well, which was a great continuation as well. So the next book that I actually didn't own as a child, unfortunately, but this is one that I distinctly remember reading, and I remember rereading it multiple times, and this was where my love of classics actually developed. This was the first classic I ever picked up and read and loved, and that is The Wizard of Oz. But not The Wizard of Oz, The Ozma of Oz, which is book 3 in this bind-up. So it's book 3 in the Wizard of Oz series. I never actually read The Wizard of Oz, the first one, until like 2 years ago. It's just really crazy how I didn't even read the first one, but I loved the Ozma of Oz and the girl power. I loved the different characters and how all the Tin Man and the Scarecrow, they all are invested in this journey to find the Ozma of Oz who has been hidden, and you're following this boy and this girl as they're trying to go on this little quest, and I just love this so much. I'm trying to read my way through the series for the first time, but I'm gonna do that as time comes along. But definitely recommend picking up the Wizard of Oz series. It's a long one, but I loved the Ozma of Oz. I remember having that paperback in my library all the time. The next classic that I read, or I want to talk to you about, is one that I've already talked about on my channel. I posted up a big review of it, and that's Little Women. I read this one as a kid, loved it. This one just is such a great story to hold to some childhood things. This is such a middle grade book. It's very wholesome and sad at parts. It covers a lot of topics, and I thought it was very, very fun to read as a child, and especially when the children are doing crazy things. The 4 sisters are doing crazy adventures, and we do those too as siblings. So my next book series that I loved as a child is kind of historical fiction, but I'm going to call it a classic as it feels very classic-like to me, and that is Little House on the Prairie by Laura Ingalls Wilder. This whole series was a love of my family. My mom loved the shows so much that she had bought them all on DVD, and we had them going in the background sometimes. My mom loved watching the shows. We read the books. This is always going to remind me of my parents or my mother and one of her favorite TV shows probably of all time. It was just such a great one, and now as an adult reading them and watching them, I know there's differences now, but still close to my heart. The last one that I loved as a kid, and I know that there's a read-along happening of it right now. I'm not participating in it, but if you wanted to, there's the Anne-along, I believe, because it's about Anne of Green Gables. This one is such a heartwarming series about Anne, who's an orphan and trying to find her home and trying to settle in Green Gables with Matthew and Marilla, who are brother and sister, and they don't want a girl, they wanted a boy as an orphan. It's such a great series about friendship, about family, about love, about belonging. This series was always so great, and I need to read it eventually. I don't have time this year, but eventually I want to reread this series because it's just so good. And this is definitely one that I always look on with fondness. So please let me know down below what was your favorite childhood classic that you read, or if you have picked up any of these and loved them too. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.